Damien, are you surprised to see this dude below?
A little. I saw him already.
I'm a little surprised too, because it was 120 seconds ago. I didn't know he was going to be here.
Okay.
I wrote to him. I wrote to him a few hours ago, and he's been playing tennis. Vanch, I think first of all, you need to tell us about your tennis match.
Well, I didn't actually play a match.
Okay, or your tennis experience. Did you
2 or 3 weeks.
kick somebody's butt?
I won practice games.
Damien says
not
practice
like an
games
official
mean
match,
nothing.
but I think we played 4 games, 4 tie breaks. I won 3 of them. We also played like games to 11, ground stroke warm up games. I think I won all 3, so that's good.
Against someone we would know or not?
No.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was going to be like Gil Gross or
Brandon Nakashima. Yeah.
Milos Raonic.
Yeah, about the same level, right?
So we're here to we're going to fill in the gaps. A lot of people might go, well, you had your WTA and ATP weeklies, which obviously touched on Indian Wells, and I've actually completed both my prediction videos where I sift through the draw and make my thoughts known on basically who I think is going to win the tournament. But there's still a lot of gaps because I haven't really, like post-draw and certainly post-qualifiers, I haven't done a show where I've said, hey guys, what do you reckon? So let's address the draw and then sort of fill in the qualifying bits afterwards, or maybe a bit of both. Damien, what sticks out to you? Let's begin with the men and we'll do the women in the second half. What sticks out to you, into mind when you saw the draw, I guess, 24 hours ago, and then maybe also how it is now with the qualifiers?
Yeah, here is when the tough questions start. Because honestly, like my knowledge of the draw compared to when we do it at the slams is nothing. Like I more or less, know some qualifying matchups because I just basically looked at it when I woke up. But otherwise, honestly, I'm not too familiar with it. I mean, now looking at it, Alcaraz, has a pretty okay, like if he beats Arnaldi, has a pretty okay draw. Djokovic obviously has a pretty okay draw, like maybe Humbert standing out, right? If Humbert is going to be that dangerous on these courts even, which I'm not sure if I'm buying into. But as a whole, I just kind of felt like, well, maybe it will be easier for me if once we start talking about like a little more specific. But in general, I've just sort of found that, well, we've got 9 ATP 1000 events during the year. And if I just sat down and started focusing on every single draw, like waited for the draw to come out, I would kill myself. Like it's impossible, I can do it for the slams, yes, but for like ATP thousands, I'm a lot more chill when it comes to the draw.
What about you, Vanch?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of excitement for this one because there's like a lot of build up to it. They obviously do the ceremony like live on the grounds at Indian Wells. There's a lot of people who make the trip out there to watch the qualifying because it is like so marketed. I would say, but yeah, like I think when it comes to the slam breakdowns, I usually do a much deeper dive. I like go quarter by quarter, section by section, 16s, 8s, 32s. Here it's more I just kind of, okay, so and so is in this half. Oh, so and so is in this quarter, and then that's usually about it. And then we just wait to see who the qualifiers are. That's kind of my approach.
Nerland's calling you irresponsible, Damien. I'm not sure if that's because of the moustache or because you haven't been paying attention to the draw. I see where you're coming from. I would be airing my frustration that the draw isn't live on TV. I would be dissecting it and complaining about easy draws and tough draws. But actually, this last 24 hours, I've kind of let slip by until right now when I've had a bit of more of a look at it. I mean, the round one match that jumped out for me was Raonic Nadal because of sort of melancholic, sort of yesteryear thoughts. Vanch, what are we thinking about Raf? I don't know if you saw any of the exhibition he had against Alcaraz on Sunday. Are we more optimistic, less optimistic, or still in the same place?
Kind of in the same place, like still kind of unknown. I need to kind of see him on a match court in this setting. The thing is, when he's actually been playing, he's been playing well. So it's just like it's a matter of like, can he actually, can he actually still display a lot of those qualities? How well does he move? He seemed to be moving pretty well in Brisbane, but then then he got hurt against Thompson. Thompson obviously played really well as well. So yeah, kind of a wait and see approach with Nadal. If he's looking to get rhythm, Raonic is not the type of player that you want to play certainly early on. But also, Raonic also has his own injury question marks a lot of the time. So I think it helps that it's at least a familiar matchup, kind of like the one against Team and Brisbane, where at least he knows like what he's sort of expecting, and he does like have the edge if they're both playing their best or close to it. So it's kind of a wait and see approach. I'm very interested to see if he plays Runa in the second round. What that looks like. So I hope he gets through with that first match.
Cool. Yeah. Have you got any thoughts on the Rafa run? I mean, I was looking at it earlier, thinking the sort of par for the course, the average, the okay return would be a win against Raonic, and then a loss to Runa, but he's healthy. Anything more than that, as long as he stays healthy, would be an incredible bonus. But I guess big alarm bells if he gets a bad loss to Raonic, Damien.
I don't know. I mean, if big alarm bells, I mean, depends, I guess, what your expectations are. I guess he didn't sign up for Miami in the end, right? So it's like Indian Wells and then go play clay. So it's like, I mean, yeah, just kind of show up here and see what. Oh no, he actually is. No, that's Indian Wells. Yeah, what am I looking at? As Nurlan says, we are basically all unprepared. But anyway, yeah, of course, he didn't sign up for Miami. Just to be clear, Nurlan, we don't really, it wasn't like John texted me 24 hours ago saying, let's do this draw show.
It was quite spontaneous.
It's a lot more spontaneous. So we are a bit excused. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is that this is just a bit of a, play one event before the clay swing. Like, regardless of how he does here, I think he just travels back to Europe to practice for clay. So this is not the most important match. This is not the most important part of the season. So I would say that maybe how he looks physically is more important than whether he actually beats Raonic or not. And I have a prediction for this match, which is that it will end in a retirement. No, I mean, it's probably not a very serious prediction, but it's very much a possibility, of course, with these two. It is a bit of a retirement home type of matchup. With Raonic recently, I mean, just struggling to finish whatever match, honestly. And Nadal, in Brisbane, he looked great. I mean, in Brisbane, he kind of looked like he probably won't be retiring, even if he's, struggling with something. He's probably going to fight until the end. So I guess that's why that prediction isn't that likely, actually. But all in all, I kind of, with Nadal right now, we just sort of have to operate on hunches, gut feelings. My gut feeling is he will actually look a lot better than Raonic physically, and he will win. That is my hunch, but it's basically the hunch territory. We know nothing.
Agree. Are you brave enough to make a prediction for this one, Vanch?
I'll go with Rafa. Like Damien said, I just think Raonic hasn't been able to win a lot of completed matches lately, and on these courts, I know Shrihari is mentioning like this is his best Masters 1000. Just given the consistency of his results, maybe here. Obviously, with the serve, it kind of makes sense, and the ball traveling fast through the air. But I'm gonna take Rafa.
Last time Raonic played was 2019, just to be clear, right? Like, these things, they did matter in the day back in the day, but like right now.
Yeah, that's right. That's the last time both of these. No, actually, Rafa played in 2022. Yeah, but for Raonic 5 years ago. That's great.
Let's hone in on the second best player of all time, Novak Djokovic.
We just lost our viewers.
We just lost Gene. And Shrihari.
Yeah. No, anyway, it's not a bad draw, is it, for Novak? The first match he'll play will either be the qualifier Mokizuki or Vukic. Who did Mokizuki beat to get this far, Damien?
Oh Jesus! And again, it was a tough questions. Benjamin Hassan today, I think, and then yesterday. I mean, what is it? Oh, Diego Schwartzman, of course, the famous Diego Schwartzman,
Oh
who once again
no,
got a
Schwartzman.
perfect draw. I mean, the guy is getting like the best draws every week. Like it's impossible to be this lucky to get Buruchaga, to get Nava, to get Galan, to get Mochizuki, and well, he still loses to all of these guys. Of course, Kecmanovic kind of doesn't fall into the same category,
No.
I guess. But even in earlier this year, the only win that he got was against like Jacob Bradshaw or whatever his name was. So yeah, he's really getting amazing draws. But this is not about Diego Schwartzman. This is about Shintaro Mochizuki, and I think the second round for Djokovic couldn't be any easier, really. Like Vukic is in a terrible slump, and he will definitely plateau somewhat. This year, he will definitely fall off after that Atlanta run is off. And Mochizuki, he had that inspired Tokyo run, sure, but has anything changed since in his career? Not really. And I think that this is like literally the easiest Djokovic could have gotten in the second round, which is good for him, obviously. After that, maybe some issues could start, but we've talked about the Djokovic Echeverry matchup a few times, Australian Open, of course, recently, but also Paris and Rome. Zhang, if he gets there, Djokovic has also beaten him somewhat easily recently, right? So I think by the time he gets to like the fourth round and plays, let's say Humbert, Paul, maybe Mickelson, maybe Patrick Gibson. I don't know. I'm kind of going out on a limb here already, but like whichever of these guys it is in the fourth round, I guess by that point I would expect Djokovic to be really in tune already and just able to get to the quarters. It's definitely a nice section for Novak.
And his quarter, I saw, could be Taylor or it could be someone else, I think.
That's semi. His quarter is
semi?
Ruud, Davidovich,
I think
Fokina, Nori, and
Hurkacz is the
Hurkacz.
quarter.
Okay, Hurkacz, yeah. So I think I have Taylor getting to the quarters against Medvedev, and it was like which one of these two is going to be Novak's opponent. I also think that probably right now, maybe a year ago, I would have said something differently, and for sure 3 years ago, I would have said differently. But of the other three players in that quartet, I know he can't play Alcaraz in the semifinals. But still, just looking at those four players who have separated themselves a bit from the pack, at least for now, I think that Medvedev is probably the one he would prefer to play. You might make a case for Alcaraz given his form, but I just think of the three, probably in these conditions, maybe Medvedev is the better person to come up against in the semifinals rather than Yannick or latterly, of course, Carlos. But that's my take. I don't know if you agree with that or disagree, Vanch.
For Novak, yeah, for Novak, I think we'd rather play Medvedev right now.
Yeah, right now, yeah. Okay, I want to just have a quick look at more bit this the draw. Any other standout matches from the first round, Damien, that you think we should give a highlight before I have a quick chat about tomorrow's schedule as well?
Okay, so super quickly, let's maybe say that, well, Ethan Quinn, Patrick Gibson, that's a good one because they met in the Cleveland final recently. And it was definitely an entertaining match. Queen having a wonderful time in the qualies, beating Alice and Vavasori. Queen, of course, is the NCAA champion from last year. And otherwise, there was definitely something like Wawrinka Mahaj. I think that's clearly a super watchable, just encounter, right? We've also had Nadal, we mentioned. I am very excited to see Nakashima against Eubanks, not necessarily because I think, well, Chris Eubanks is great to watch at the moment. However, Nakashima making that main tour return after a while, it's a big story. I think it's very winnable for him as well, despite his return game in general in recent months not looking that amazing. And otherwise, from the first round, definitely Shank Thompson. I think someone mentioned that earlier, maybe Gene, that he is calling Shank to beat Thompson. I like that pick. Like I know that Jordan has been so good, but Indian Wells, at least on paper, isn't that amazing for him. The only like real advantage to me that he has over Shank is the serve, and on these courts it could be neutralized. And I think that, yeah, Jerry definitely could have a shot there if he just brings his best, sort of most disciplined, most, let's say, he brings out the variety as well. He could potentially take down Thompson with it, I think. And I guess that would be really it. There's also a number of, because this is, of course, an event that is sort of structured in the way where we have 32 first rounds and 32 second rounds. We could also talk about, like, the potential second rounds, and some of them are definitely quite mouth-watering, like Shelton Menchik. I think obviously that always stands out because you just have two amazing youngsters going at each other. I would love to see Klein against Ruud. Like that would be a real upset or possibility, regardless really of how Klein looks in the qualifying, how he looks in the first round. Just if he has a good day at the office, this is already so tough for Casper right away. Casper actually doesn't have a great Indian Wells record, which is kind of a surprise for me, given his simply his game profile, and also whoever Rune plays, right, Raonic or Nadal, that will be a highlight as well.
What about you from the first sort of 2 or 3 days, 3 or 4 days, possibly, with looking at round 2 as a sort of semi, kind of a round 1 Vanch? Which matches are you interested in? And I'd like to get some calls from you on some matches, but just tell me 1 or 2 matches that maybe Damien didn't mention, or if you like, or even elaborate on 1 or 2 that you did.
Murray Goffin is definitely one that is.
Okay, that's good because that's on my list. Who's winning that match?
I mean,
Goffin.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, part of me wants to say Andy just because I want to see him, win a couple of matches just in his last feel good year. But honestly, like this might be the best chance for Goffin to get his first win. Like, I think it could be. I mean, Andy really doesn't like these conditions relative to the other courts. I think, especially at this point in his career, and also with Goffin having just qualified. And having a little bit of momentum, this might be the perfect time for him to get the first win. So like that would be one that I would circle, and then I mean obviously I would see Draper Zverev in the second round. Maybe that's a good chance for Jack in these conditions. Like that could be a possible upset for sure. I think the Menchik Shelton is like one that immediately stood out. Like that's.
I mean, I'm not sure if Draper beating Zverev, is that a massive upset? I mean, it's a 60-40 for me if Draper's healthy.
Yeah.
That's how Draper was priced against De Minaur in Mexico, right? About 60-40. Yeah. So I think, I mean, possibly he would probably be a slightly bigger underdog, but like just slightly,
Yeah.
Can Felix win
also,
Vanch? Looking at
Felix?
Obviously Lesti and Okudla. Yeah, can he win a match there?
I think he can win one match, definitely. Which section is he? Lesti and Kudla. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see him get to the Alcaraz match.
Yeah.
I'd rather see Alcaraz Lestian.
There's also the
Alcaraz Lestian. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Which other one is really standing out to me? I mean, you have the Eubanks Nakashima winner potentially playing Lehechka. They've also Lehechka and Nakashima have had some recent notable battles for sure. So that's definitely one that I'll have my eye on. I mean, I guess you also have Pui getting qualifying, for the first time since 2019. I saw. So that's like kind of one of the more under the radar stories, maybe. I don't know what else. I guess Wawrinka Manarino. Wawrinka against lefties recently has been a bit of a struggle for him.
But he needs to beat Mahach first.
Yeah, he has to get to Mahach, which is not going to be easy. I think he probably is an underdog against Mahach.
For sure.
But Safiul and Evans as well, that's also a good match in the first round. Winner to pace Korda, right? So that would be good. I mean for Medvedev, he also he kind of got a nightmare draw with Korda and Dimitrov in his section, even before getting to the quarters. And there's sort of an unknown about how Medvedev is going to play on these courts. We obviously know he hates these conditions, even though he got to the final last year. And he was also riding a huge streak coming in. Not quite the case this time around, even though he did make a slam final and came so close, of course. But I think Medvedev is going to be one of the more interesting seeds for sure to watch in the second round as far as like Friday, Saturday matches go.
Okay. Before we sort of look at some bigger picture stuff, and also maybe I'm going to get from both of you some sort of latter stages predictions as well. I'm just having a look at the schedule now for tomorrow. And which was the match that you said to me earlier on, Damien, that you thought you might be able to do a watch along for?
Eubanks Nakashima, maybe. Yeah, because he offered Kokinakis Giron or Andreeva Volinets. I think this will be same time, really, and probably a better week.
Fine. So Eubanks Nakashima, which I'm just trying to do my. It's going to be. Is that 9:15 potentially your time? From
It's
9.
the second slot. I think it's the second slot. Yeah.
The second slot. Which
So it's actually about 10 probably my time.
Yeah. And the first slot is that 8 p.m. your time?
Yes.
And
For the first week, because after that they changed time actually. So it's a big mess.
But anyway, at least for the next few days, 8 o'clock Central European time, 7 o'clock is the first match, and then the second one will be a couple of hours later, I guess. So yeah, Eubanks Nakashima, that's cool. That's great. Okay, cool. Anyway, just that's nice. So who have we got on tomorrow night session in the arena? Who's up? Is that Pui out mine? No.
I mean, we have Venus against Hibino, and then we have.
Okay, on the women's side. Okay, yeah.
No, but there is a men's match.
There's a Zybot Vilch against Wolf.
Oh yeah.
So that's the men's match.
Okay.
On the stadium.
Maybe I'm looking at the wrong stadium, maybe, but I don't see it here on my list. But okay, fine. So
just please stop using schedules on Google. Please stop using Google for schedules.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. All right, cool. Let's get back to the draw, and I want to get a player for you from both of you, who because my quarterfinal lineup, I'm not going to lie, it's quite boring. I mean, it's not Vanch level boring, in terms of like going from 1 to 8 or 1 to 4.
I knew this was coming.
I actually don't have that this time. I think there's going to be a lot more.
Okay, because mine's boring. I think the only person outside the top 8 I have making the quarterfinals is Taylor Fritz, and even he is kind of a top 8 guy in some respects, but maybe even more so Indian Wells. I don't know if there's anybody who you sort of can see a path. Either of you can see a path for the quarters that might sort of stand out as being a surprise. I don't have players like De Minaur or Jordan Thompson, or I'm just trying to think of players who've done quite well recently. I'm trying to think where I had Shelton going out now, actually, looking back. Does he play? Just trying to see
Menchik in the second round, so obviously that's a 50-50. And then, I mean, probably you have him against Sinner in the fourth round.
Okay, that's probably why I have him going out. Yeah. But that's a tough fourth round for Yannick in a way, from the different fourth round.
He lost that one in Shanghai, right? Precisely the fourth round, I think, as well.
Okay. Yeah. Vanch, any names that I could or should have in my quarterfinal lineup that I don't have? You think?
I'm curious to see who gets out of that Rude, Hurkacz, Davidovich, Fokina, Nori section. Like maybe it could actually be Cam. Maybe Cam can get to the quarters. I think that's not a bad pick. He loves Indian Wells. Like the last 3 years, he's like consistently
won the title there. Yeah.
Yeah, titles, quarterfinal. I mean, last year when he lost to Tiafoe, that was definitely a little bit of a surprise, but because he was in such great form. I mean, I think he could get through here again. I think he could get to the quarters and probably lose to Djokovic.
Where does Rublev fall in all of this? Asks Miles. I don't really know. Probably just classic Rublev, fourth round quarterfinal, and then ciao.
Rublev never gets mentions in these draw predictions in these events because, like, what do you want us to say?
Nobody predicts him to win, a tournament like this, even though.
But everybody predicts him to win 3-4 matches, and that's kind of.
Yeah, I have a tough time seeing him get past the quarters, just because also Sinner is this.
Because it's Sinner, yeah. And even if it's Shelton or Menchik, honestly, I will have a hard time seeing him past the quarters. Honestly,
if
they are fit by that time, if they are still fit by the time we reach the quarters, he will have a very hard time beating Menchik or Shelton, I think.
So the big 4 bookies favourites, I'm not necessarily saying they will all make the semi-finals. I think there's some question marks over all of them, maybe less so with Yannick to some extent. But Yannick has never made a final here, although of course he has pushed Carlos a year ago in their semi-final. But if Carlos wins this tournament, how surprised would you be, Vanch?
No, not that surprised, because it is Carlos and he loves these conditions, and like these are the courts that we Damien and I both expect him to rack up titles. Like, just because the conditions are just so good for him. And like high bouncing, slow, it should help his kick serve. But there are still question marks in terms of his preparation. Like I don't know if he had really had great prep going in, just with the ankle roll in Rio, and then also I'm not going to take anything from that Nadal match. I mean, they're playing indoors, like they were not going all out most of the time. At least, there was definitely some meat on the bone in terms of like how they would compete point in and point out in an actual like competitive match with stakes. So I'm not really going to look at that. I don't think his draw is that easy, to be honest. Like Arnaldi in the first round is not the easiest opponent, and then maybe his next round, maybe the third round is like maybe the easiest. But if he gets Hachanov instead of Jari, that would be better for him. But then after that, he's basically going to go through like.
Not sure Jari will get that
The
far.
Felix shade.
Yeah,
Jari should be good in Indian Wells, right? And like at least on paper, Jari should be enjoying the
So should
conditions.
Hachanov, right? I mean, so should Hachanov. So that's
Hachanov has a very good record.
50-50.
I think Hachanov lost like to Brooksby winning 3 games 2 years ago, but in general he has a very good Indian Wells record.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, but yeah, like I don't know who's gonna get out of that. Like if Draper does beat Zverev, is he gonna be fit enough to get through de Minaur as well? Because like de Minaur shouldn't like these conditions, but he is kind of playing really elite right now, and like he is, like this is a really good opportunity for him to even push towards the top 5. Because he doesn't have anything to defend. Like he barely has anything to defend until like Queens. So who do you have him losing to? That's the thing. Like who do we have de Minaur going out to?
I mean, maybe he'll make top 5, but I don't know if de Minaur's a top 5 player even.
No, like
even
I mean,
if he's playing.
I mean, Alex shouldn't lose in the second round, but third round for him is pretty tricky, right? I mean, Bublik, Shank, Thompson, whoever it is, really. But yeah, this section where he's in, like if Zverev loses to Draper, especially, like it would really open up. Like nothing would be certain there anymore. It's a quality section, I think. I don't think it's a good one for him besides the second round, but it's also like no one he can't beat. And I don't really buy into him beating Alcaraz. But yeah, 2 things I guess that I wanted to touch on from earlier that you said. I think here there are only 3 big favorites. I don't think Medvedev really belongs right now because of the conditions. It might change for Miami, but also because of how he looked in Dubai, the shoulder issue, and how tricky his draw is, because we've seen him struggle many times against Korda by now. Korda seems to have a really good, like a field day attacking him and just closing, opening up all these angles and going to the net whenever he plays him. Then you also have Dimitrov, Mahach, whoever it will be in the forefront really is also kind of a bit of a nightmare for him. I mean, honestly, Flavio Cobolli second round, that's also somewhat losable. I don't know. I mean, I know we were all saying that last year, that like in Indian Wells, there's always the possibility of Medvedev just going out to like basically anyone. But last year he had so much confidence. Last year he had so much rhythm going into this event. I just don't know if he's, up there with Djokovic, Sinner, Alcaraz. Out of these 3, Djokovic and Sinner are the ones that don't really have any question marks over them. Alcaraz, because of that lack of prep that Vanch mentioned, I think he'll be fine. But if he loses to Arnaldi in the second round, would we be surprised? No. I mean, Arnaldi is talented enough. I think if Carlos gets through the second round, I would expect him to win a few matches.
Vanch, who's winning the tournament? Go on, Vanch.
So many people are really high on Ugo Humbert, and I'll just say this: I think it's more likely de Minaur gets to the quarters for sure. Well, of course, that's not really a bold take. I mean, Ugo Humbert has Djokovic in the 4th round, but but even against like Paul or Mickelson, like I don't know, like Humbert is a really good fast court player and indoors and grass and quicker surfaces, but just like de Minaur, I have questions about like Indian Wells plus clay for Humbert.
So, wait, what? Because Big John asked you who's winning the event?
Yes, who's winning? I mean...
Yeah, but the thing was, Vanch I could already tell Vanch was starting to elaborate on a couple of things, and I kind of spoke over.
I'm kind of avoiding that question, actually. I'm just...
as well. Oh, yeah, that's another
okay.
He's been watching too many politicians in primaries. Super Tuesday.
Okay, I'll say this. I think the winner of Alcaraz Sinner is gonna win the title. I don't know if that's...
Okay, that's still a bit on the fence.
You're not gonna get a clearer answer from me because it's pointless. I mean, in
Yeah, I
case
don't
if
know. I don't
someone
know.
is giving, if someone is giving an answer like that, obviously they're just sort of guessing between. We can say, it's between three players. I would say I would be surprised with a winner that's not Djokovic, Alcaraz, Sinner. I like the advanced prediction of Alcaraz or Sinner. I think that works for me. I kind of wanted to say Sinner, but it just seems like too much of a fairy tale, for him to win Australian Open, Rotterdam, and Indian Wells all back to
Yeah.
back, like go 18-0 or however it would be, and
Then we have to
also
start drawing
Davis
comparisons to
Cup.
Djokovic 2011. If he wins this, like then it's really on.
I
I mean,
mean,
no, not yet.
No,
no, because I mean, he got to the
Djokovic,
French Open
Djokovic won all his
semi-final.
matches by the French Open. I mean, the entire
yeah,
clay
that's true.
season. No,
But still,
it's
that
not
would be
yet.
pretty incredible.
If
Like,
he
to
won his
win
first
it.
clay court
I was
tournament,
thinking of like Nadal 2022. Actually, that's
Okay.
probably a better.
Actually,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fair. Yeah, because the
I mean,
clay
that
season
would be a
is
direct comparison, I guess, because they would literally win the same things. So it's also like it would just be a comparison. It wouldn't be something that we would be talking about, potentially for the future.
Mm.
I was also thinking of Federer 2017, actually. But yeah, for me, I kind of just wanted to say Sinner, but Djokovic, I think, is also a bit overlooked by Vanch here. I think. Let's say that.
my
Not
prediction
necessarily
coming.
overlooking him. I wouldn't be shocked if he just just comes into this mode like he did in Cincinnati and just wins the title. But it's just I don't know how much motivation he'll have right now at this tournament. Like maybe I'm dead wrong, but maybe he just won't be like I'm kind of looking at him like just peaking in time for Roland Garros and not so much.
Yeah, but it's 3 months until Roland Garros.
Yeah,
It's,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Mm,
Hasn't
Maybe it's
played
also
here in
just I just love him
ages.
on faster courts now. Maybe it's just I just absolutely just love him on faster
I mean,
courts. I don't know if he'll be like physically ready to
Oh
grind
yeah.
all the way. It's Djokovic, so of course, yeah.
do
Like
you think Djokovic would rather
wins
win
separation.
a gold medal at the Olympics over 2 Grand Slams this year?
Rather win the Olympics over two.
Over one for sure.
Over
Over
one, yeah.
two, it becomes a question. I honestly have no idea. Maybe like if he, he's kind of guaranteed that no one will catch him for the foreseeable future. So honestly, Djokovic might be so hung up on that gold medal that he might actually say yes. I think.
Maybe, yeah. But I don't think he's gonna want to jeopardize Wimbledon because Wimbledon still matters a lot. So like I don't see him like just
I mean, the only things left
Keeping
for him
Wimbledon
really
yeah,
are
I don't see that at all.
No, that's not gonna
gold
happen.
medal, usurp Federer at Wimbledon, maybe another
I think his
Masters
goal
at
is to
Monte
win.
Carlo.
I think a good goal for him is try to win Olympic gold, try to win one more major. Really, like win one of the next three and win gold, either one of the three.
Yeah, I mean, then it's just, I mean, yeah. All right, let's move over to the women because I do have a semi-surprise in my quarterfinals there. So let's see if I can do this quite quickly. I've got men's singles. Let's go over to the women's singles. I've also got Naomi Osaka as somebody I've sort of ringed as being an interesting person to look out for at this tournament. Mira Andreeva is also on my watch list, if you like, to see how she gets on here, because she's going to be playing possibly on Jabeur, I think, if she gets through her first round. She'll play on Jabeur in a repeat, of course. There's a lot of repeats, actually, of matches that occurred in Australia or revenge missions that might be going on, and none more so than with Iga, of course. Iga got a tougher draw than Arena. Is that right? Do we think? I mean, there are some issues for Sabalenka en route, but
I mean, if we put Kenin here in the first round, then it's literally Australian Open, right? We've got Collins, we've got Noskova. So, yeah, it is pretty tough, but you would expect her to be able to handle it better on these courts and, unimaginably better. Just have a very different level of comfort and just for these players not to be able to rush her like that. And I guess Keys or Alexandrova fourth round, that's also not easy. She's lost to both before. She's struggled against both before. But yeah, I mean, with you guys, just kind of like in Australia, she had a tough draw, so you weren't sure. Here, you're just sort of sitting here thinking, okay, I mean, she has a tough draw, but like she can handle it probably.
Yeah. Do you agree, Vanch?
Yeah, pretty much pretty much totally agreed. I think she can handle it much better than Australia, but it's still tough, of course.
She might drop a set, which by her standards is something to keep an eye on, because often she's, bageling and all the rest of it on route to the quarterfinals, often at these tournaments. But yeah, it's trickier than it could have been. But like you said, I think I think Danielle Collins had her chance that day in Australia 8-10 weeks ago, whenever that was. That was her moment to get that win, especially where Iga was at that point and how vulnerable she was, both in the match before, even against Kenin, and then, of course, latterly against Noskova. Yeah, this is just ideal for Iga. And in fact, if it starts to get windy or blustery or all sorts of things that can go on in Indian Wells, in fact, I've heard it's even been a bit chilly there today. I don't think that the Iga's possibly the person who can handle that probably better than anyone else on the tour. Of course, Rybakina semi-final is there, but maybe we'll talk about that in a few minutes, because I want to talk about some of the earlier stages. Any first rounders that sort of or things that catch your eye in this sort of first couple of days of the tournament, Vanch?
First rounds. I mean, there is
wild card matchup there.
Badosa Kruger. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I don't think just about Badosa anyway, because she's barely played since Rome.
No, but that is a good match.
Yeah, that is good. I mean, Osaka should get through that first match against Irani, you would think, right? I mean, that's
Irani winning her third set in a bagel today, in her second round of qualifying. Yeah, and I've Osaka, by the way, let's have a quick look at her run, because she's somebody that I ringed along with Mira and Andreeva. I hope I'm going in the right direction for Osaka right now. I'm going up.
Yeah, Andreeva versus Jabeur is a possible round 2, right?
Osaka is in the Gov section, so lower down. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think Osaka beaten Goff. That's
did you see that, like, there was like a tennis.com expert predictions roundtable or whatever, and when I saw that I wouldn't even enter this article usually, but I saw that they posted like stats on who went for whom in terms of the winner predictions, and when I saw that 3 people picked Goff, I was like, okay, yeah, it's an American outlet, sure.
Yeah, I 3 people out of how many?
9 maybe. I think it was 4 Rybakina, Goff 3, Świątek 1, Sabalenka 1. So
wow,
that's aggressive. That's aggressive. I mean, I'm not saying Coco doesn't have a shot, but like against either of these other 3 women, yeah, I wouldn't like her chances too much.
And her form
in a direct match.
Since the US Open, I don't. She's not won a title. I don't know if she's been into a final. She's kind of reverted to.
She's doing okay. Besides the last 2,
she's doing okay. She's doing 4th in the world. Right. That's what she's doing.
She's won Auckland. She won Auckland, right?
Okay, she
semis of Beijing, semis of World Tour finals.
I mean, no, she's doing
Australia.
Okay. I think she's doing okay. Yeah.
She's just. I don't think that she's broken through in the same way that many people think she has. I think she's.
Oh, of course not.
She was underwhelming for the first 6 months of 2023, culminating in that loss at Wimbledon. Then there was that sensational period that she had between, I think it was Washington, Cincinnati, and obviously culminating at the US Open. But where we are now is kind of more the type. That's kind of the norm, and she'll win a 250 here and there. But we're not going into these events where she's in my thinking actually to win the tournament. Now, I could be wrong, and she might, draws can open up and she might get lucky and she might end up being the best player over the next 10 days or so. But she's not in my thinking really as a potential winner. So, yeah, to have 4 out of 9 so-called experts is kind of surprising. Vanch, am I being
there is a big gap. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a big gap. What about you, Vanch, on Coco?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm looking at her draw, and I think, but I also think like it's pretty doable for her to get to at least get to the 4th round against Naomi. But I don't know if it'll be Naomi. It could be Samsonova. Maybe Samsonova just has one of those.
That's the one, isn't it? Naomi Samsonova. I mean, who wins that one? Could well be going deep. You'd expect Naomi to beat Irani, and then obviously the Samsonova one, and then one of those two I would make as the favourite over the possibilities, whether it be Elise Mertens or Schmiedlova or Wang.
Yeah, honestly, but I still think like a semi-final is very doable. And then if Goff plays against Sabalenka, that's not an easy match for Arena. Like I know the Australian Open, but like that's not.
I agree. But the only thing is with Coco,
it's more 60-40. It's more 60-40 for Sabalenka, but it's not like Coco has no shot. So
completely. But the problem is, Vanch, these ifs, buts, and maybes add up, and the 60-40s and the 50-50s. We're not talking about Iga and Arena in the 50-50s and 60-40 scenarios like we are with players like Goff or perhaps Garcia or Qinwen Zheng or various other sort of players in the next Pegula, various other players in the next conversation. That's why, because we're so confident in Iga to win these matches, despite the fact that we think she's got a tricky draw. That's why she's in the conversation to win the title. And for me, Coco isn't.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but I'm just trying to see who are like the potential nightmare opponents for Goff. Like that's what I'm looking at in terms of the bottom half. Because for Rybakina, I actually think maybe there are some questions. Like maybe there are some tricky opponents here. Like she's got potentially Potapova. Jasmine Paolini is playing well. Kalinskaya is in her section. Oh yeah, Kalinskaya is in her section. There you go. That's another. That's a possible upset right there, and it wouldn't even be that big of an upset. Like if Kalinskaya beat Rybakina, would you be shocked? Probably not, right?
Indian Wells, it's tougher than on something like Dubai, Australia.
Sure, yeah. I mean, she should like these conditions because she's pretty tall and the ball won't get too high on her, especially when she's playing cleanly from the baseline. But like, I don't know, like with the women's game right now, like, do you see anyone apart from let's say this? Do you see anyone apart from Sabalenka, Iga, and Rybakina winning this title? Because like if all of them lose,
it's again like Dubai, right? We were talking about it. Like if they all lose, it's like total pandemonium and anyone can win it. And literally anyone, then I don't know, Elina Avanesian comes in to win this, and it's understandable. Like I don't really see a problem with this because she would actually like the conditions. I chose her as a random example, but she
actually like Von Bosova comes out of her hibernation.
I've got Avanesian going quite far.
I totally get that. I'm actually Kasatkina second round. Well, I don't know.
I've got to beat Kasatkina.
What I'm trying to say is that there are certain WTA Tour events right now because we have such a big gap with the top three and the rest, you kind of have the situation where Świątek, Rybakina, Sabalenka lose, anyone can win it suddenly. And Jasmine Paolini was the best example of that, really.
Yeah. And we might get another one or two tournaments like that, as Miles perhaps suggests in the chat. I know that Jean has Sabalenka losing to Svitolina. I think it is in the 4th round, which would be a relatively early exit for Arena. Not quite as early as the most recent tournament, of course, that she played. But what do we think about that thought, Vanch?
It's possible, but Svitolina has to get by Navarro first. And Navarro is a tricky player right now. So I don't know who I would pick between Svitolina and Navarro right now. It's pretty tight. But
Sabalenka has to get through Yastremska.
Yes, Yastremska also.
Wasn't that potential?
Actually,
final, yes.
I'm also thinking this might be a big hot take, but maybe Sakari. Maybe Sakari goes on a bigger run here than we were expecting because it is Indian.
That's a hot take, Vanch. That's a hot take.
I know why, and I know exactly why. Vanch, tell me. I can tell you what Vanch is thinking, or Vanch can tell us what Vanch is thinking. Shall I tell you what you're thinking, Vanch?
Sure, go ahead. What am I thinking?
You're thinking David Witt has come in and he's going to start doing certain things with her serve and mentality, and we're going to start to see that come on, and it's all going to come together, and she's going to make a run here in Indian Wells, possibly. Is that what you were thinking?
No, I mean, the thing is, she could lose to Schneider in the first match, but I could also see a scenario where she's all of a sudden playing super loose and free, and maybe she has more tactical clarity. She likes these conditions. She's been here before. Like, I don't know how the heck Garcia is going to play in her section as well. Like, there's just a lot of unknowns. But I think, like, this venue and maybe this new coaching change. Yeah, so that was part of it. Yeah, you were onto something there for sure. But honestly, maybe she can get to the semis here. Maybe against Goff. I don't know. Like, it's.
I mean, Schneider Bogdan second round. That's not amazing, I think she has a very good chance of losing in the second round. If she actually wins,
Yeah, like
Fernandez
the
maybe.
second round is the tricky one, but like after that, I don't know. It's possible.
Fernandez
I'm not that high on Pegula right now. That's for sure.
I'm suddenly very high on Leila Fernandez the last few months, and I know it's not natural for me. I know it's a surprise, but I kind of see her going deep here potentially.
I would if it wasn't for the loss in San Diego last week, which was obviously.
So what was the loss? Because I forgot already.
It was to Tatiana Maria, but I'm more concerned about the injury that she sustained on her shoulder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
yeah, I forgot about that. So yeah, scratch that. I guess
That's my. Otherwise, I think she could do well here. I think if it wasn't for that, then it would just be a
dark
case
horse
of
Blinkova, against Pushkova in the first match. That's not going to be easy for Pegula as well. I don't know, Blinkova, Sakari, one of these players. I think we could see.
Wait, so Pliskova can play Pegula in the second round. Okay,
Yeah.
so actually scratch that. Pliskova is my pick for the quarters now.
On these courts, we'll see.
I mean, she's done well
I
Hasn't she had a good
Anne.
run at Indian Wells some years ago? I mean, in her
I don't
prime, she was
remember when.
definitely consistent, at least in Indian
Yeah.
Wells.
I have Andreeva going middle. That is, of course, going further than I think she's been before at a Grand Slam or a 1,000 event. I think she's not made a quarters yet, and I've got her in the quarters here, losing to Iga.
You're not alone in that predictions sort of round table that I mentioned. Someone actually picked Andreeva Goff final.
Really?
Goff final.
Oh my gosh!
As I said, I mean, I think a lot of these predictions were like kind of, I wish that will happen, but
hard overhead or something.
Yeah, I believe so, but I mean, I buy into Mirra looking good in Indian Wells. Yeah. I don't know where that will take her actually, but I do actually can like buy into that. She of course beat Jabber at the Australian Open. Ons is still not fully there. Wozniacki has been a little disappointing. I mean, Vekic, honestly, to me, has also not been too convincing, despite a decent run right now in San Diego.
Yes.
So, I would say that Andreeva is actually a very strong contender for the quarters.
Yeah.
Pavlyuchenkova as well.
Pavlyuchenkova, yeah. Pavlyuchenkova is playing really well right now, actually. So I think
not a bad draw. Perhaps had Maya in the third round.
Haddad Maya is also one for me that I'm kind of circling. She's lost like her last 4 matches, but each time she's lost to the eventual winner, and it's these conditions should be decent for her.
And then Kostyukov on Drusova maybe in the 4th round for Pavlyuchenkova. So, there's a potential quarterfinal there for her, I think. All right. Let's get to the absolute crux of the matter. Vanch, tell us why Maria Sakkari is winning Indian Wells.
Ooh. I never said she was going to win.
I know. But tell us who's winning, or tell us who, if you had to put your house on it, who you think is going to take that title.
Well, if I still have to put my house on it, then I'm still going to go with Iga, just because, you play the percentage game and you play the odds, then I still go with Iga, even with this draw, because I still think if she gets past, get that gauntlet of like Noshkova and the Alexandrova keys, and then her quarterfinal becomes, if it's not Ostapenko, it becomes easier, and then it's like, if Rybakina loses, I'm kind of tempted to just pick Iga to win the title, but I don't really know if
I think
you guys are on the same page.
If you don't know, go Iga. It's almost like if you don't know, go Novak.
Pretty much, yeah. Like you said, basically all the 1000s except for Cincinnati, Dubai, and Madrid. That's kind of my approach right now.
Yeah, it's been a smart sort of strategy the past couple of years, I guess, because usually we have this situation where Iga is on top of the draw, and even if we like don't fully buy into her winning against Rybakina or Sabalenka, which in Indian Wells is not actually a thing. I mean, in Indian Wells, I totally get it. So usually she's been like the percentage play, right, when it comes to these titles, especially the WTA 1000 level. So I kind of get that, yeah. And by the way, Miles was talking about Pliskova needing a wild card. Of course, that was before her points came in for Cluj. So that's why the entry is. So that's why she needed that. But otherwise, yeah, I think Iga has been like the smart call in most of these situations. So I would probably say the same. Percentage wise, she has the best chance. I love the courts for her. In Doha, she kind of showed that she is still the woman to beat on courts like this. Is the draw tricky? Yes, it's trickier than for some of her other contenders. Not that they have an easy situation in either, because as we mentioned, lots of good players in the Rybakina section. Sabalenka maybe, the second round, I don't really think she's going to lose there, but yeah, Yastremska, Svitolina. So the main three favorites all have some dangers along the way, and it's kind of like, which of these threatening players will actually step up and deliver on the day. For the most part, I would expect that. It might not be as at the Australian Open, where like everyone in the Iga draw is tough and everyone just just goes at her, right at her. I mean, they see a vulnerable target. Here, I would actually expect that she won't be as easy to attack, easy to pounce on. I have to say two things though. Vanch, I'm surprised. I don't know. I mean, somehow I don't know. Are you off your San Diego drugs? Because you still haven't mentioned Katie Bolter. You still haven't mentioned Marta Kostyuk. What the hell's going on? And also, we should record more often at this hour, because now I'm in lightest, shallowest Poland, and you are sitting in the dark.
Deepest, darkest San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, I am tempted to kind of just ride the wave of Bolter and Kostyuk a little bit, but I don't know if I really buy into her like beating Noshkova or Iga, just because like we haven't seen that, like how she's gonna handle the conditions, and she seemed like really, 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 really happy when she won San Diego, and that's like a great thing. But like it's such a quick transition now into these new like conditions, and I don't know. I'm taking a wait and see approach. Kostyuk, I could actually see it doing really well, but then she's in that part of the draw where it's just like it comes down to those specific, like if she's playing a Vondrosova, these courts are pretty good for her. So maybe she's like another bold pick. Not even that bold. Maybe she just gets to the quarters or semis. But okay. I'm just saying a lot of fluff. But like honestly, I gotta like just come up with predictions now. I just gotta do it. So I'll say this. I'll say 3 of the top 4 will get to the semis. The one that doesn't, in my opinion, is gonna be Rybakina. I think Goff and Sabalenka get to the semis. I think Iga gets to the semis. I think someone different will face Iga in the semi.
Okay. What's your thinking about Rybakina? Is it? I mean, is it the fact that she is a bit inconsistent, perhaps?
Yeah,
That you
it's
don't
more of
always know
that.
which
Also,
one's showing up.
defending champion. Also, like her draw, like maybe Kalinskaya or Paulini in the 4th round, maybe. But then also potentially Wizard quarterfinal. Yeah, it could be Haddad Maya. It could be Pavlyuchenkova. It could be Kostyuk. Could be Vondrosova. Like I don't know if I'm like that confident of just penciling her into the semis right now.
Okay, I've got her in the semis, but I've got Iga beating her in the semis. Despite the fact I know that she has been a thorn in Iga's side, I just think that this is where Iga should most come alive. I don't really know. I know Nick loves to hang on the fact that she was kind of injured in that semi-final a year ago, and I guess there is some fairness in that, bearing in mind she pulled out the next couple of tournaments before going on a tear on the clay. Yeah, but I'm going Iga to take the title, and I've got Rybakina in that semi-final. I've not got Coco there. I'm trying to remember who I did have in my semi-final. I've got Arena against someone. Someone's getting to that semi-final, but it's not Coco. I just don't remember who it is.
Maybe Azarenka. She's been a bit of a trendy pick I saw on Twitter.
I don't have Azarenka. No.
Okay. I mean, if you went boring, it could be Kinven as well, but
I haven't. Oh, I have got Kinven. Yeah. I went full boring, full Vanch. I injected a load of Vanch into me before I made my predictions, and had Qin Wenjing in the semis.
Welcome to the show where we basically just laugh at Vanch for his San Diego love and the bold predictions. Bold.
I mean, the thing is, Vanch says, "Oh yeah, it could be one of those for Sakurai and could this," but in the end, his semi-finals, apart from Rebecca, it's still like
I just don't see Sakurai beating Sabalenka. So that was kind of my
Sakurai
thing.
beating Sabalenka? What?
I don't see that happening. Like she would need to beat Sabalenka in order to get to the semis, and I'm not quite seeing that. So.
Oh yeah, because she's in the 7th one. Yeah.
Quarters is doable, but after that, I don't think it's.
I like that Azarenka pick now that I'm looking at it. Like maybe that would be a semi-finalist for me actually. Yeah, because that 5-6 section, if we assume that Goff is going to be pretty vulnerable, is like very like open for upsets. Then again, like Coco's second round, I think she'll get through. Third round, she'll get through. So it's like really on Osaka or Azarenka to beat her. Maybe Zheng, but I don't know actually. Have we seen this matchup, Zheng Goff? Maybe like once tops. Also, Vondroushova keeps getting mentioned here by Gene, which is, it is a selection. I think her section is kind of even if Kostyuk loses. Like, if Kostyuk loses, then anything can happen there in that 8th of the draw, if you may. And then, of course, yeah, it's like a question of whether she could actually beat Rybakina, Kalinskaya, someone like that. I would say Rybakina, it could be tough. But yeah, if she beats Kostyuk, it's definitely quite open for her.
All right. I think we're going to bring this to a close. Looking forward to tomorrow. We'll have Nakashima against Eubanks, is it? I've forgotten now. You have to remind me.
Yeah.
What time is Andreeva? I'm wondering if we can do both because I think Nick is up for a match as well tomorrow. So Eubanks Nakashima is at, I'm going to stick with Central European time, 9:15.
Pretty much the same slot. Yeah, it's the second match.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. All right. Well, we'll probably do just that one then. All right. Well, anyway, we'll have at least one more.
Maybe something else. Maybe another match will be doable for
we could even do both at the same time.
In
maybe.
the first slot.
We'll talk, but we'll have 1 or 2 matches tomorrow anyway, and so you can make sure you can look forward to that. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that jazz. Give Vanch and Damien a follow on the social medias, and you'll get to hear plenty more of their thoughts on, especially Vanch, obviously saying how Maria Sakkari is going to win the next 3 Grand Slams. So, and me teasing him about it, even though he never said it. All right, cool. Let's finish this. So thanks for coming on, and I'll see you soon.
All right, yeah, this was fun. Bit chaotic, but I liked it.
Look at a little bit of shade there from Vanch. Little shade. Just wanted to give a little drop shot there to end the match.
Yeah, he felt like he has to say something at the end. Yeah, because we kind of went overboard a few times.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming on board, and for everybody else, you know the drill. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.